Okay, let's wait the usual 5 minutes or so. Also in case Thomas might join. I don't know for sure. The link to the notes, of course. Now in the chat. Hi, Richard.
I'll get some coffee.
It's usually a good idea. Good point, Michael. One more feedback for the Miteco team.
So should we have a quick AOB on DNS over CoAP?
Sure. I guess mostly based on the mails from Martinez today.
Yeah, which only the chairs got, so
Yeah.
we will have to explain. But my impression was that we had a position on that in one of the previous interims, so just wanted to check whether we are still thinking this is the way to go.
It's mostly about the best actions editorially, I think. Yeah, that's right, Michael. Though we have Christian as another author. It won't a sync discussion here.
I'm here, but I'm just got out of a major deadline thing, so I'm not up to date with anything around.
No worries. Okay, being 5 past, let's start. Welcome to this interim meeting of the co-working group. I'm Marco, my co-chairs are Karsten and Jaime. And this is an official IETF meeting, so the note well applies. Be familiar or even more familiar with that. Reading these documents. If you are aware of any IPR and you participate in the conversation, you have to disclose those, or otherwise don't engage in the conversation. It's also special about our code of conduct, so please be nice and professional with one another. And the agenda for today, before the AAB, is only 2 topics, a follow-up on the working group last call and a few more recent points on the CF-Reg update document that passed the working group last call last week, and then an update from Karsten on href. So any agenda bashing or more topics? Anyone? Okay, so if no one, let's start with CF-Reg update. I think the main plan for Esko and Thomas was to go through the open issues and I believe a mail thread.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we've collected the issues now in the GitHub to track them.
Right, there are 6. Do you plan to share your screen?
Yeah, what do you prefer? We need, I think the issue is displayed, but you can also share it if you want. Let me just look at them.
Yeah. Share screen. Yes. There we are. So shall we start with number 4?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that actually started quite long ago, so we are here now.
Yeah, so the question was here, the last comment from Thomas, basically. Let's see if we can read it.
Yeah, please use the whole screen, really the whole screen.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, and one more. Yeah, that's
200%.
Yeah, 200 is always good. Now we don't see Thomas' second comment anymore, but
right.
Yeah, the last comment was guessing that this can be closed, and that's because the working group last call was also sent out to the IANA-BIS working group mailing list. So we could say we assume that this working group has seen that. I don't know if there was any response from that side. I'm okay to close it, but I just wanted to check with people how that normally goes through the procedure.
Well, we generally give the authors or editors of the document pretty much leeway in how they want to use GitHub, because we make decisions on the list or in interims confirmed on the list. So if you think this can be closed, just close it and tell people that you did that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Then I think it can be closed, yeah.
Good.
Good. Next then, 22.
Yeah, so this was
again forever new tab.
Oh yeah.
There we are.
This is better, yeah. So this was again a discussion about the media type parameters that can be in some cases quoted or unquoted. And it's semantically the same often. And sometimes it has to be quoted due to the constraints. I think they are in RC 9110 for encoding those parameters. And I think Karsten mentioned on the list that we might define something like a canonical form of the registrations. So basically, preferred form would be unquoted if it's not needed, and when it's allowed by the encoding rules, basically, and also have a semicolon and followed by exactly one space to make all the entries look the same.
Yeah, we can't fully fix this. We should be aware that there are things in the registry that are copied from RFCs that we don't really want to file errata reports for because they are not errata, but we can for the future come up with a common way of writing this. And I'm saying common to avoid the word deterministic, but that's what I actually mean.
Okay, then I think it's good to just mention that also in the draft that the entries should be recorded in that common way. And I can make some text for that for sure, but just wanted to check what we think about that. And the old entries can be left as they were.
Brief question on the semantics here. If they are the same, can the registry not be updated because like it's just a different representation of the same data? Or at least can consumers just take the registry, pass them through the normalization and say like we insist that equivalencies hold, so we work on normalized data?
So what I would do is simply list the deviating registrations that we have up to now and say in this document that we read them like this.
Yeah, so in the common format basically, or preferred format was we defined.
Yeah, I think all the COSI registrations don't really need the quotes, but I haven't fully checked this, so just don't take me by.
Yeah, there are just a few, I think, that do this.
Okay, so that means being understanding with what has happened already, but then pushing for the preferred form.
Yes.
So then it's more than a preferred form, right? It's really how it is supposed to be.
It's preferred, and that's why it's so.
So you
have a better word for preferred?
Well, because it's not really a preference, right?
Well, it is a preference which we cast in concrete.
Okay.
I don't want to write canonical because people have become really allergic to that word, and deterministic sounds a little too heavy for this. So I think we can continue saying preferred, but that's an editorial issue that I'll leave to ESCO.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good to know the bit of sensitivity to how we call it, but I'm okay with preferred. Try that.
Okay, so for this, there is an action to do on the document.
Yeah.
All right.
So assign myself for that.
Please do.
Just a couple of minor changes. So.
Okay. Then next issue, 23. We zoom in.
Yeah, so this could be solved by the previous issue in a way, or maybe not entirely. But this lists some basically different strings that are each equivalent in terms of the media type and parameter that they are addressing, even though the strings are different. So this preferred form would already help for some cases, I think, like the single space behind the semicolon. But there's also this example of the URN namespace identifier. So full is basically uppercase or lowercase, and yeah, that's I think refers to the exact same thing because it's not case sensitive. So the idea was that could be added as an example of something to be wary of or look out for, because I don't think we have that have an example yet of this.
So you say it's not case sensitive. Aren't there rules that parameters can be case sensitive?
Yeah, this is specifically the URN itself.
Yeah. So we advise the designated expert to actually look up the meaning of that parameter and see whether it's case insensitive, and then lowercase everything.
Yeah. So maybe for the namespace, I think it's a general rule for all URNs, and if there are case differences in the rest of the string, that's maybe going a bit too much in detail to look that up. What that means, because that's probably defined by the specific namespace of the URN.
Right. No, I meant in general parameters. I don't think media type parameters are always forced to be case insensitive.
Yeah, probably not. I'm not sure if it has a specific meaning. It's just a kind of string here it's basically arbitrary string here. So
I think in the end it will depend on what application/my defined, because if application/my defined that URI parameters undergo some particular normalization, then that applies. But this might just as well be a string that happens to be URI shaped, and then the normalization would not apply. So we might need an example where we have a concrete registry that one can look up.
Yeah, so you mean a real existing media type that has this kind of parameter. Yeah, not sure if we have the kind of example somewhere.
Yeah, otherwise it should be good enough anyway to describe the situation we have in mind.
Yeah, that's if you can't find a concrete case, then you can always use the hypothetical case here. Okay, if we agree to add this just as an extra example, then I can also do that, or maybe delegate to Thomas, but he's not here, I guess, so I can first assign it to myself.
Good.
Yeah, once we went down this road of having examples for every nook and cranny, we now have to follow on that.
Yeah, there are too many, I guess, if you look at all the details, but yeah, just have a sort of a good enough set would be nice.
Okay, so that was 23.
Yep.
24.
So yeah, this was also sent to the core mailing list.
Right. So let's see if the end just mentioned the mail that was sent, so the content is mostly here.
Yeah, so the basic idea here is that you would have a new column basically, or field in the registry. So that would have the name of the associated media type and also point to it with a clickable link. And that works because for every media type there is these assignment pages in IANA, so you can just make the link to the formal assignment there, and it kind of acts as a check that the media type does actually exist there, because you have to link it to this existing page.
Yeah, it's a bit weird because it's not us who will fill that column. It will be IANA. So this is really more of a presentation issue, and we could describe it as such.
Yep, that's right.
So based also on the discussion we had on the list, the new column is just fine. I think then you have the corner case of the provisional media types, and yeah, a possibility can be introduced in the concept of provisional content format. And you are right, in a sense, it's used already. For example, for application voucher plus COSI. And I was noting that the temporary note is actually in the column content type, not in reference, like Carsten was suggesting originally. That's interesting. But yeah, this is sort of happening already. So we can just formalize it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
We just need more instructions of what IANA should do when this and that happens. And I think that was also in the discussion on the list. You noted this is happening, for example, for that content type for a particular range, the first come, first served. But I think the idea was to have that for all ranges, right?
Well, actually, the temporary thing that happens only in the IETF review range, because for an assignment it needs to be IETF or ISG reviewed, and that happens only late in the process. And for first come, first serve, you can basically get a number based on any draft. So even if it's later abandoned, for example, the number will just stay there. So there are no temporary assignments there. And I think we discussed that with Thomas, and then he considered that a kind of feature of the range of the first come, first serve range. So you very easily get a number and it stays there. And in the IETF range, it's more managed. So if you don't complete your draft, it will eventually be removed there. So leaving space for other drafts to get that number.
Right, so the provisional case is only for the second range of the registry. IETF review or ISG approval.
Maybe also for the first. I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah.
That could also be for the very first range, because there is an extensive check done, and that could also be provisional or temporary.
Right. Yeah, we just have to say that because that happened kind of unofficially for the second range, but since we are making things official now, why not covering the first range expert review too?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it can be temporary for both ranges. I think we had another GitHub issue for that idea of formalizing the temporary note.
So then for either range, it's about IANA to update the reference to make the entry permanent, or freeing up the entry altogether and make it unassigned again, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it looks like the process is already there to do that. With this string temporary.
Yeah, that's the only one. Actually, no, I don't know if that happened before and it was removed. maybe some of these unassigned used to be temporary assignments.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
No, but sounds good then. Okay, and that's for issue 24. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so adding the column is okay. We don't have to talk about presentation details here, but just so we would have basically a field with the base media type. And I'm not sure if you fill in a template, for example, if you actually have to fill that because it's already in the complete string, basically, including the parameter that also has the base type.
Yeah, I would
So
I would probably simply say that IANA fills that in.
Sorry?
I would just say that IANA fills in that column and then wait for IANA to beat us up for saying that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, they proposed it, so. All right. Yeah.
Good. So that was 24, and we have 2 more. The loophole, yes.
Oh yeah, this was about the lightweight checks. So they are done, you could say, in 2 out of 3 of the ranges, but not in the IETF IST stream. And that's, I think, because there is not an expert consultant by default in that process. It could be, but there's not something formal that I know of that somebody will do those checks. So maybe the question is, who will do those lightweight checks for those IETF stream ranges?
Well, the moment there are going to be checks, can't they be full checks?
Yes, please. So I would delete the concept of lightweight checks from range.
I think I lost some audio from Karsten. Part of it.
I would delete the concept of lightweight checks from the 0 to 255 range.
Yeah, well, it's you could say it's a complete review in that first range, but as part of that review, there will also be the lightweight checks, obviously, plus much more. And then for the second range, then ideally that should be the same, at least, that those lightweight checks need to be done at least, maybe more. But as far as I know, there is no formal consulting of the experts in that IETF review range.
Yeah, that's why we change it to IETF review with expert review.
Yeah, both. Okay. Oh, that's also an option. Because I don't think we have made that change yet in the document now, so we need to be explicit about that.
Okay, so that would be about having technically a different registration procedure for the second range.
I think so. Yeah, if it's if that procedure exists, basically, then that will be a change. Yeah.
So there would be IETF review with expert review or ISG approval with expert review.
Yes,
I think so.
Okay, and probably the best usable text we have around is what you have in RFC 9668 for the considerations and policies for the new registry created there. It's another policy there, but still augmented with expert review. So if you want some sort of ad hoc boilerplate text to use, that would be a good start, I believe.
So we will just aggressively copy paste that text until finally our draft gets through.
I can give you more precise pointers offline, Esko, also about that and help you out. Yeah.
Yeah, just do a PR.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine too. Okay, yeah, that should solve that thing at least.
Okay, so it's quite an overhaul for this registry.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we have like how many years of experience with it, so there's nothing wrong with doing that. So when we did the same thing for CBOR, we had a lot of things to consider.
Okay, so I think we know how to address this too, augmenting those policies too, and we will have experts performing a full check of those two. Okay, and last but not least, oh, this should be the one related to 28, I suppose. Yeah, I think we covered this before when discussing issue 28, right? Or 24, actually, sorry.
24, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the temporary discussion. So to mention that at least, or clarify that it can be temporary. And maybe also clarify that in the first come, first serve, we don't have that. Or at least there's no process for that.
While instead we want it for expert review, right? The first range. That was also something unclear to clarify.
Yeah, so for the first two ranges, yeah, like 0 to 255 and the IETF range. I mean, it should be a good reason to allow it there as well, because the numbers are not, they're not a lot, so that helps to keep it clean.
Right. So I think that should cover everything from working group last call and the suggestion from Ayana and the loophole that you raised in the list, right? Are we forgetting anything?
No, I don't think so. Although I could treat you on more potential issues, but
of course,
I'm not sure if that's that there's, for example, this thing that if the media type is existing, then anyone can register it. For example, some new image format, I give it a first come first serve number, and while for some image formats we have a number in the 0 to 255 range, for example, so they get a short number. But if someone decides to kind of beat the IETF to it, then they can register first come first serve, the same type but with a bigger number.
Yeah,
that's one thing, but I don't think it's a big problem. But I just wanted to mention it, that this would be possible.
And I already did contemplate doing this, for example, just for HTML with deflate decoding.
Yeah, so
I could just start that anytime. Didn't do it yet, but it's definitely being it may not be used, but it's definitely being considered.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are, I think, already entries that did that with the deflate encoding coding. Yeah. So in that case, that's just the requester who decides that it's going into that range. Even though some other people might want it in the 0 to 255 range. But okay, that's the way it's set up, at least. I don't see a need to change anything at this point.
Okay, I think we have a clear way forward to a next version, and I can work on a PR addressing issue 28, basically, for those documented policies. Yeah. So the document is still marked as in working group plus column, the data tracker. I'm going to change that to working group document with issues raised to be addressed or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then we work on that, but I believe likely the next version should be ready. Well, for the Shepherd write-up, Shepherd review, and not sure if you noted that was very discreet in terms of notification, but I appointed myself as Shepherd, so I'll take care of that. And I hope we can ship this in February already.
Right.
Yeah. All right, then I think we know what to do with this towards the next version. Any more comment or things you believe we missed? If none, then we are also done with this item. Let's see if I manage to stop sharing.
So maybe
Thanks,
maybe
Esco.
we can do the AOB thing quickly, so Martine doesn't need to be glued to her laptop for the whole time.
Sure thing. How, Martina?
So Martine, can you say something? Apparently not.
Can you try to leave and join again?
Yeah, she can always say something on the chat. So I just wanted to quickly check that we are on the same page on the DNS update question that came up in the meantime. And I think we already had an interim meeting where we found that we either have to actually include DNS update in all the testing that makes us believe that DNS over CoAP is now ready for going forward, or we have to say, no, we didn't do that, so please use this right now for lookup only. I don't know the right words to say this, but that's essentially, I think, what needs to be done. And I thought that the decision we already made in the meeting, but maybe not on the mailing list, is that we want to ship this now. So we are not going to do extensive tests with DNS update, but just ship this with a scope on the DNS lookup. And we might very well have a pretty short second document that says, oh, by the way, this works for DNS update as well. Oh. Martina, you are unintelligible. Can you maybe just type something into the chat? Oh, now it works.
Okay, then it was just too loud. Okay.
Yeah, so
just need to get up on.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Was the question asked to me, or I didn't catch all the discussion?
So did you hear what I just said?
And it's also in the minutes, by the way.
No, you were completely unintelligible.
And I think a question from her last mail was about you thinking of removing section 5.1 as a concrete action point or not.
I don't know.
I try to get to that section.
Well, that's DNS push, which is, again, different from DNS update. So DNS update is from the direction from the client to the server doing an update. DNS push is from the server to the client, informing the client about an update. And I was specifically looking at DNS update. Yeah, Martin, that's pretty much what I'm asking for, that this is not included in the current document.
Yeah, we can say it's out of
Yes.
scope, I think, for this document. Yeah, because you would probably also use different co-op methods for that, I guess. So
Certainly.
not a get, but maybe a post or something. Maybe it's the same, I don't know.
Good. So if we all agree on that, then maybe we should message to the aliens that this is how we are going forward on this. And with that, I think we are getting very close to working group last call ready. So maybe I can ask that question as well. Do people see other impediments to work?
Maybe just a quick question. So is the DNS push notifications in scope actually, in a way that it can be mapped to observe, for example?
I think so.
Or is that not scope?
Of course, I would like to hear from people how they have implemented this. But I think it's in scope.
Okay.
Thanks, Martina. So let's get a new version soon, and then, yeah, it will go in parallel with DTLS ELPN. That was the idea.
Great.
All right. That was a great agenda bashing. No worries. Okay, next is Carsten with href.
Yeah. Okay, so just a quick reminder, what is this href thing? It's about CRIs, which are concise resource identifiers, like URIs, but in non-textual form. So what we tried to do here was extracting the information model from URIs, which are only described in terms of textual convention, and then you have to guess what the information model behind that might be. And we did this explicitly. And actually, we are not just covering URIs here, we are also covering IRIs in RFC 3987. So after a long time of discussing various points, we had a new version coming in. Today is wrong. This was last week. Sorry, error on my slide. The -17, which I think closes the issues we can close. And my objective here for the next half hour or so is to check that we all agree on how this was closed and ongoing forward. So there are two issues, or two sets of issues that are still open. There is one about test vectors. And I think the people who have implementations have to look at the test vectors, but the one open issue that actually was actionable on test vectors has been completed. So we just should spend some time looking at those test vectors again when we have time to do this properly. So I don't think we can close them right now, but they also don't really have a lot of impact on the document. The other open issue is number 93, and this is about composability. And to me, this is a whole can of worms. And I'm not sure that we need to do this for this document to be completed. Christian, as the one who put in this issue, do you think we need to wait until we have good answers?
No, I don't think we need to wait. I put this issue in because you mentioned that this is an unsolved issue, and I think it's a, especially in the context of CRI, it's a trivial one on the technical side, but I do understand that there are implications of like writing this down and making this official. So I'm perfectly happy with not talking about composability here, and then like start using this as we evolve CRIs through extension points and as we gain experience with that.
Yeah, so I think this is really best done by a couple of hackathons, either the official IETF ones or private ones we run for the co-working group, and seeing how well does this work. And this may lead to a wiki where we explain how to use this, or we may actually spin up another document that has some implementation considerations. But I think that's much better, actually gaining experience with this and then writing it up than kind of guessing.
Yeah, that might all, in terms of that document, if we ever wanted to consider something like CRI templates, that might go together with that. So if someone wants to do something with CRI templates, then this composability would like fall out of that already, almost.
Great. Okay, so I go to the next issue, which I propose to close. Hello? So Christian pointed out that we are not discussing CRIs in AIF. AIF is the authorization information format that we have defined in the ACE working group, and that has by default a place where you put the local part of a URI, and PR99 adds the necessary things to register a new object identifier for CRI local parts. And in section 8.3, which is a new section, there is some text explaining this. So I didn't want to put the whole text up here. So the editorial surgical intervention was to take section 8, which was only about CoAP integration, and now say it's about CoAP and ACE, and adding a section 8.3 to the two existing CoAP subsections for the integration, and it's pretty obvious what needs to be done. The meat is on this slide. Go ahead, Marco.
Thanks, Carsten. Wondering when checking the new version, when you have AIF CRI, you keep unsigned integer in general. Is that intentional, or do you actually mean REST method set from RFC 9237?
I didn't get the last sentence.
I wonder if you really mean unsigned integer in general there, or instead REST method set from the CDDL definition you have in 9237.
That is correct.
You
Yes.
mean that? Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
you could combine this TOID with a different TPerm. But the
Sure.
example is the TPerm. That's very, very, very good comment.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other observations on this, then we can go on to the next item. We have discussed stand-in tags, and also I always have to say tags are simple values. I'm trying to simplify this by just talking about stand-in items. So the DDL only describes the structure of the CI after the stand-ins have been. So there is a paragraph here which says that this is the way we intend to use this. But it really leaves it to the application. It doesn't say you always have to expand tag 21 to 23 or something like that. So if you have an application where you want to use CIs with stand-ins, you have to say that. Is that the right way to handle this? So that the problem, of course, is that the set of potential stand-in tags is increasing. So there are new stand-in tags invented every day. And by saying that we include all of these hypothetical future stand-in tags in this specification, we make life for implementers a little bit difficult. So we probably cannot really do anything but allow applications to define the set of standing tags that are of interest here. And of course, the next minute, somebody will come around and say, don't we need application profiles then? Yeah, that's a problem with extensibility. Marco.
Yeah, just editorially, when I read this part 3 times, I think eventually I got it. So the concept looks correct. I struggle when I go to the point of reading is defined to evaluate to the original item. Maybe it's because I'm not familiar with this construct evaluate to, but I have to make an effort using the next sentence to make sense of this. If you find a simpler way to express the first sentence, they'll help.
I'm generally being a general reviewer that I have these run-on sentences, and this is exactly one of those run-on sentences that needs to be fixed. Yeah. Completely agree.
The concept looks correct. It's more a matter of readability. Thanks.
Okay, if we think this is technically the right approach, then I'm going to the next item. IDNA. What is it? Internationalization of domain name something. So complex addition to the DNS world that we all agree is necessary, and all agree is this the way we are doing this but it's DNS specific. So if we want to consider IDNA for this document, we have to scope it to the use of DNS. And the problem is we are not using DNS. The schemes are using DNS. So an implementation that would want to do something with DNS would have to have scheme-specific knowledge. And then yeah, Christian, this is the typical problem of trying to be helpful in a transition, and by that making the transition maximally painful. Yeah, we can't fix that. So I actually found a document, and I forget which one it was. I'm sorry. That had this text essentially, and I thought this is good text we can add here. Pointing out that implementations that have this scheme-specific knowledge, so they, for instance, know that HTTP and often CoAP are using DNS in the authority space, those might want to convert into individual elements by using the toASCII procedure, which is defined only in a RFC that was obsolete. Most people reference the document that obsoleted the original document, but that doesn't contain the definition. Anyway, so this is pointing to the original document where it's actually defined. And you can use this toASCII procedure to turn the Unicode text that can be in the reg name into something that is ASCII by using the Punicode algorithms. So there's some more detail about this in section 3.1 of the III specification, which also is a little bit skirting around the problem here. The ugly part is that this text is in the first step of a two-step procedure we define for turning CRIs into IIs. We say you take the CRI, turn it into the URI using our well-defined algorithm, which is defined in this document. And then you convert it from a URI to an II using the method defined in RFC 3987, the II document. Now, doing a toASCII before then converting back to the same thing to IIs, that doesn't make sense. And that's why there is this last sentence. This should not be done if the next step of conversion is to an II as defined in the section about converting CRIs to IIs. Oh, actually, it's a bullet point, not a whole section. So, yeah, I think we have covered the issue by mentioning IDNA. We cannot solve the unsolved problems of IDNA, so we are not trying that. But we are pointing out that an implementation might want to do the toASCII procedure if its next step is actually to go to DNS. So, Christian, you raised this issue.
Yeah, that sounds like a sensible resolution.
Good.
Thank you. I mean, if the resolution by which we kind of said that's like that's a problem of the next layer worked, that would also be fine with me. So like just pass Unicode to DNS and let that part finish it out. But if that turns, I have not read all the references that you gave, and if what you suggest you think is the better way, then yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. So at least we have some positive feedback here, even though the issue is very complex, and we will get enough feedback at the ISG level, I'm absolutely sure. So the next one is zone identifiers. Only one thing can be worse than IDNA, and that is zone identifiers. So we have this situation with RFC 6874 actually updating 3986 to include zone identifiers. And now this document is being resigned by publishing 6874 bis, which is really weird because there are systems out there that use 6874. So the PR94 just went ahead and explains CRIs are being defined while this stuff is still swimming and not has not arrived at the shore yet. We will need to react to this in time when that has been done. But we keep the place for a zone identifier, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with keeping a place for a zone identifier next to an IPv6 address. I mean, zone identifiers are not going away. It's just the representation in URIs that has the problem. So we have place for a zone identifier. So non-URI applications have all that they need. No problem at all. No problem whatsoever. Yeah, so unfortunately, we still need a test vector, and in the test vector, I took a side on how 6874 needs to be interpreted, and it's not %25, it's % here. Yeah, so that's swimming mode again. And we will see how this goes on. But since browser vendors are not really implementing this directly, I don't think we have a real compatibility problem. Okay, so 2 PRs, one explaining that we keep the zone ID in the structure of a CRI, but have limited clarity on how it would be converted to a URI, which is the only thing we would really define. And PR95 that adds this one test vector, which should make this very clear how we mean this. Okay, and let's now, oops. Marco, go ahead.
Yeah, is this also trying to say use zone identifiers at your own risk?
Pretty much. So
Okay.
here's the text.
Right. Yeah, so you're entering in a dangerous territory at your own risk.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have CRIs that convert to URIs, you are in dangerous territory. If you just want to use CRIs as CRIs, you are all fine.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, but for the old style URIs, so that can be converted to CRIs, I think, with zone identifier.
Yes, once you have managed the ambiguity between % and %25. So you have to take a position on that.
Okay, yeah.
And I think most people agree that
Yeah.
that 6874 was defective. So they are not doing what 6874 says.
Right. Okay.
Okay, and the final issue, the determinism goals. Christian brought this up, and again, zone identifiers are not going away. It's all about URIs here, and not about zone identifiers in general. Yeah, the last item on the list is determinism goals. I think that there just needs to be a disclosure here, what we had in mind. CRIs have been designed with the objective that the two different CRIs do not create the same UI. So this is not a promise, but it's a notification that we had that in mind when we designed this. The difficulty here is that we have different types of normalization going on. We have the normalization that we actually use in CRIs themselves. We have the general URI syntax-based normalization, and then we have the scheme-specific normalizations, which are called protocol-based here. And these three together make it really difficult to make a really useful statement here. So I didn't try to force this issue. The one thing that got added is that this objective of essentially being deterministic for CRIs, this is not an objective for CRI references, because CRI references, of course, have a base UI that also goes into this process, and depending on the base UI, you might have a situation where two different CRI references yield the same URI after resolution or not. So it's not really possible to say anything useful there. But CRIs themselves, the absolute CRIs that at least had the objective that after CRI's own normalization, two distinct CRIs also convert to URIs that also are distinct, where the latter is not fully defined. That's the whole section about equivalence in RFC 3986. Okay, I'm done with my list. Any comments? Yeah, so I think we had this REST method set observation, and we had the run-on sentence in 91. This could be a reason to update the document once more, get a -18 out. And now, of course, my question with the working group chair head off is, what's next?
Yeah, once closing everything, I think we should go for a second working group last call. We have in mind for a while now, but feels like we're getting closer. And by the way, you didn't mention, but thanks also for keeping an eye on the new media types and updating the table in the appendix with new ones.
Right, I'm doing this each time I'm publishing a document. So of course, we will have to agree on a way to do this once this was published. So right now it's doing perfect hashing to generate that table. And of course, a hash code that is perfect for a specific situation may no longer be perfect once additional media types are being registered. So we cannot continue with perfect hashing, but we also don't have to, because it's the job of the registration mechanism to guarantee uniqueness. So we can come up with, or the designated expert can come up with a way of doing this that suits them.
You mean to notice that something new was registered as a media type to update this new registry?
Yeah, I have code for that. So I just run the tool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good for now. Yeah, I don't have a clear direction in mind that can work well, but we'll figure it out. At the end, it's about keeping consistency in between two registers, right? I suppose this is not the first case ever. Maybe it's good in due time to check with Ayana if it rings any bell as a common case, and maybe they have a good way that has been used over and over.
So we already had some discussions with them that led to the additional note in the media type registry, not the media type registry, excuse me, the URI scheme registry, that you should actually add something to this registry as well.
Right. Yeah, then of course someone personally has to keep an eye on that or have the right script running, but
yeah,
sure, that's a start.
So I think we have a lot of unfinished business in the IoT space about running these registries. So yesterday in the SCHIC working group, which I couldn't attend due to a conflict, there was some discussion about using the SID process, and that hasn't been done yet. This is not active in the way it should be. And this is another example where we have to develop a mechanism. Again, I have software that does this, but maybe we don't want to continue using the software, but something simpler. Yeah, let's do some work there.
Yeah.
Good. So I think I know what to do. I'm going to do a -18 with these two items. I won't get to this before the end of the week. So if you have anything else coming up, please send it to me. But then we will have a working group last call to actually do a review. Marco, do you have estimate, will this a 1 week or a 2 week call?
I'd go for 2. I think a lot happened on this since last time. That was quite a long ago too. That should still leave quite some margin even between the end of that and the cutoff, right?
Yeah, the question is, do we want to advance this document further before Bangkok? So I think we are a little bit in a rush, but you're right. A lot of things changed, so maybe we have to do a 2 week call. Wonderful.
Right. Any more comments or questions, anyone, by the way? None. Thank you, then. Looks good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. There's no AOB, then, I suppose. Thanks for today. Talk to you in 2 weeks latest.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.